Hey ladies and gents, it's Zembak, and we are looking at Avorion, obviously, right? So, you've got some cash, you've got some materials, you want to set down some roots, you want to build some academies, you want to build some fighter factories, you want to build some turret factories, right? So you want to build some stuff, and you want to be able to, you want to have a home system, right? Now, if you watch other videos, we've did mines, solar plants, and in different areas just to gain money. However, this is going to be a system where you're going to go. This is where you're going to, put your ships. You're going to leave your ships there. You're going to mine. You're going to, build an infrastructure, right, for factories or turrets or, a place to call home. So you want to drop into system and not have to be continually fighting pirates while you do stuff. So what we're going to do here is we're going to show you how, or I'm going to show you how I set up a system, at least a home system. And we're going to start by, we're going to jump out here to the galaxy map. I'm sitting in this position right here because it's kind of annoying to be talking and constantly having to turn around and fight pirates. So, honestly, if you're going to set up a home system, I would not set up one before you get to the trinium level, right? Generally speaking, I got these scattered through here. They're different home systems, but there's generally, you got your iron, your titanium, neonite, trinium, and then you have trinium, xanian, and then you have, of course, xanian ogonite here, and then eventually you have Avorion. Well, I'll be honest with you. There's no point in setting... Well, I mean, you can if you want. I mean, obviously, I cannot tell you what to do, right? But setting up out here, these materials are pretty much worthless after you get to the trinium level. Trinium is the go-to material for most of your shipbuilding, until, of course, you get to Avorion. But trinium is a multi-use... you can produce armor, you can produce a lot of blocks, right? Ogonite's extremely heavy. Xanian doesn't produce armor, things like that. So you get to the Avorion. This produces the high-end blocks. Very nice material. Same way with trinium. So typically, if I'm going to set up any kind of home sector or a home area base, I'd set it up either. I first start one in trinium, and then I'll do one in Avorion, because these are the two materials that you're going to do most of your shipbuilding with, Avorion and trinium. So starting anything out past the trinium level, I mean, like I said, obviously you can do it, but it doesn't mean that you are, this is just, it seems to be a little bit easier. You're going to get better weapons here. You're going to get, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it seems like trinium and Avorion are usually the best areas to do the setting up a home base or a home sector. If you want to build infrastructure, you want to build things like that. So with that said, typically I pick a block of four blocks. Right, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 100 sectors in each one of these blocks. And I typically pick 4 of them. This will be my home base area. And you want to scout this, right? Typically in one of these 4 block sectors, or 4 blocks, you're going to find anywhere from about 10 to 20 asteroids, which is enough to build an infrastructure, right? You're going to be mining these asteroids, and they're all relatively close. What's nice about with this 4 block is that when you build your ships, they don't have to have a real big jump range to reach everything inside this 4 blocks. This, of course, is just my preference. I typically don't stray outside of this 4 blocks if I'm building a home sector, because I have plenty of material inside. So there's an asteroid, there's 2 asteroids, there's an asteroid, there's 2 asteroids. Like I said, there's plenty of asteroids within this area, this small little area, to build your homes. You're going to have a home sector, but you're also going to have kind of a home area where you got your, you can gather resources from your asteroids, to produce whatever. So I usually typically use a 4 block area. You also want to make sure that's relatively close to other factions. There's a faction down here I'm not doing too hot with. However, when I start building things here, we're going to be friends because he's going to buy things. And there's also another faction here. You can see the green dots. I haven't really been over here. I think there's another faction like relatively close here. And This is mostly empty space right in here. There's nothing up here. So you're kind of going to be selective of, you got to have an area that's relatively open so you can expand and all that kind of stuff, and you're not really bumping shoulders. The other nice thing, of course, is also look for wormholes. Where does these wormholes lead? So this wormhole right here specifically goes to here, which means it goes to another trinium area. And this area over here, if I'm going to build a home sector or home base in this area, I don't want it to be pissing off the neighbors, right? So if I'm going to be doing any raiding or any of that kind of stuff, I want to be able to jump quickly over here, do my raiding, and it's not going to affect my relationship with any of these guys because it's far enough away. I'm not going to have to worry about pissing these guys off, right? So, look for those wormholes that, jump to a relatively the same area of, in space, trinium, whatever, or this one that these jump down here a little bit further, right to the edge of the barrier, that kind of stuff. But it's nice to have a couple wormholes inside this sector. Obviously, I'll put something here or just sitting on top of the wormhole. But that way I'm able to jump out to an area, raid, pirate, that kind of stuff, take over stations, and I can jump right back, and I don't have to worry about pissing off the neighbors. So once you've kind of found this 4-block area, like I said, you want to make sure you check out everything inside there. You want to make sure there's, the asteroids and all that kind of stuff. Now, typically the first thing you want to do, and we're going to jump over here. I've already kind of preset this up here. There's already some stuff in that sector right here. So this one's got one asteroid. So it's just a one asteroid sector. You might want to try to find one that's got 3. There's 2. There's a 3. There's asteroids right there. There's 3 asteroids. I'm just putting it here for shits and giggles. You obviously, the more asteroids that you have in a sector, the more mines you can build and all that kind of stuff. However, I'm just going to put this one here, which has only got 1 asteroid, which isn't a big deal. But like I said, you want to look at, that one's got 3 asteroids. There's 3 asteroids. You could, of course, put into your base, your starting home base, and any one of those with 3 asteroids. It's just preference. Obviously, with the more asteroids, the more mining and that kind of stuff. However, we're just going to do this one here in the center for that. So I've already set up a defense ship and a shipyard. So you want to make sure when you first start out building these home sectors, your first ship that you should, or the first factory or station that you want to build is a shipyard for obvious reasons. Since this is a little ways away from these guys over here, when I built, when I went over here to the shipyard here, ordered a ship, and then I had to get it from here to here, which is a pain in the ass, because every time you jump, you start drawing attention, whether it's pirates or headhunters and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of times this little jump right here can be a real pain in the butt, getting a ship from here to here, right? But like I said, first ship you want to build, or first station or factory you want to build is a shipyard, obviously, because once you build that shipyard here, it's a lot easier to build all of your stations right around there. And that's why I put a central location, in the middle of my 4 squares here, so it's not a far jump to any one of these asteroid fields or asteroids to drop new stations, if I'm starting to build there. So explore, pick your area as well. This is close enough to these guys here that I'm going to get plenty of NPCs coming over here to buy my stuff. I have a wormhole here to jump out if I have to raid, or more cash, that kind of stuff. So, and I'm in the right area. So this is kind of the area between Trinium and Xanian. So all these asteroid fields will have multiple Trinium and Xanian asteroids to mine. That's kind of my thinking when I do these is, this is going to be a long-term thing here. So I've already pre-positioned a couple there. So the first thing you want to do is when you, of course, pick the sector that you want to use as a home base, is you need to pay attention, and this is not relatively important here. You want to be able to defend that sector, right? You want to be able to be in that sector and not be constantly worried about pirates and headhunters or whatever's coming into that sector to blow you up. So what you do is you typically, in this situation, I'm going to jump to there. What you got to do is when you jump in there, there's just a fine area. Always leave at least one warship in that sector here. So now we've jumped in here, and this is typically where everybody's going to spawn. See, there's one more. I got my warship here already. He's 22 kilometers away here. We'll tell him to come a little closer. Yeah, we'll tell them to come a little closer here. So this is where typically most of your ships are going to, whatever if they're pirates or whatever, are going to spawn right here at this point, right? I mean, it's going to be, they might spawn a little bit further away, but for the most part, they're going to be right here when they spawn. Now, this is where I typically put up a battle station or a defense asteroid is right here. And that's just a real simple process here. I'm going to exit into my drone. We're going to get a little further away from my ship. This is my... typically what I use. The ship right here has got a lot of crew on it, and it also carries fighters to equip this stuff. So what we're going to do here is, of course, found a ship. We're going to put him an alliance ship, and we're going to call him Battle Station. Battle Station Kappa. All right, so, and we're going to build a ship here. Now, what I'm specifically going to build here is an asteroid ship. This is going to be a non-moving block of, this is going to be. I don't want him to move around. All I'm going to do is I'm going to have him in one spot, and that's it. He doesn't have. He's not going to have any engines or whatever, and he's going to be made out of asteroids, or asteroid ship, I should say. Typically, this is the one I use most of the time. It's got the thing about using asteroids is that it doesn't use a lot of material, right? So this asteroid right here is 21,261 iron, right? However, this is going to give me about 2 million HP for 21,000. So these make nice, a nice chip, right? For immobile. They're too massive to move around, so like thrust and all that stuff is not a big deal with these ships because they're not meant to move. So to get these, of course, blueprints, I guess, you have to be able to find a station or find a mine. Once you found a mine, then you can save the design of the asteroid to your saved designs, and then you can use the asteroid for whatever you want to do. In this situation, I got several different ones. There's one for 24,000 and another one for 7,000. Yeah, we'll use that one. Okay? All right. So he's got, so for, what was it, 17,000, something like that. I got 2 million hull. So it's a good start for a defensive platform, right, or a battle station here. He's going to cover the warp point where all the ships come in, and I get a lot of HP for very little material, which is nice because I can use my material to put more shields on it and that kind of stuff. And the great thing about these asteroids is that they are, if I want to say make something that's a little bit flatter right here, I can start editing this asteroid. There we go. See the nice little flat area here. Typically with these I use a couple different things. I mostly depend on fighters, and I'll be honest here. I depend on fighters for defense. And so of course then I'm going to put a hangar on here right away. There we go. So there's my fighter bay right away. And then of course I'm going to, so I have to look over here. I got no crew quarters, so I have to put a little bit of, I use Ogonite. You don't have to. You can use anything. You can, I'm just using Ogonite because it's a very strong material, and the ship doesn't have to move around, so it doesn't have to worry about weight. Right? So there's, put some crew quarters here, and we'll stick him over here to the, we don't need a whole lot of crew. Probably 900 or so should be enough. And we're going to put some generator on there because we're going to put some shields on this, right? And of course you can cover this here. So we got 14. We'll put another one on these, and we're going to put on a little bit of I'm sorry, we need to go back up to Xanian for the shield generators. And you can, of course, cover these a little bit later too with something, cover it with some material. These are just, I'm just throwing these together quick here. And we're going to go up to 161,000. 269,000. It doesn't have to be a whole lot of shielding, because this thing, like I said, being that it's made out of rock, energy weapons do nothing to it. So the only thing you have to worry about with these are rail guns or anything that's not firing some sort of energy weapon. So I could just leave it as a plain rock and be fine. So there's about 430,000 for my shields. So I'm not really into this thing a whole lot for material-wise, for something that's going to protect my home sector, right? Most of my, like my Avorion sector, home base, I have 2 of these right on the warp point. So when they come, when ships come in, they start getting railed right off the bat. However, we are going to put, typically for defensive fire on here, I usually go with railguns or missile launchers with seeker missiles. I don't want something that's not the railguns for range specifically. And of course destructibility. So what are we going to use? These are Avorion, so I'm going to need. Actually, we got to kit this out here with. I usually keep. So we got 2, 4, 6 here. I usually keep a lot of these really blue. These are the essential rare ones. However, they're not really worth a whole lot. But I do keep a lot of these. For like the armed turrets. So we're going to put these up here. Most of these require 6 slots, so we're going to install them permanently. We're going to try to get up to around 12 because I want to put 2 railguns on here. There we go. So there we go. And of course we're going to add shields, boosters to it as well. Shield durability. See, there's nothing really great about these. And we're going to install, so we're going to get about 1 million shields. Now, of course, this is just Trinium level, and we got 1 slot open if we decide to put something else in there. And crew, we got, shouldn't take much to man it. So this thing's not really going to cost me much. It's got a real low crew. So relatively cheap, right? What this has cost me for 2 million hull, 1 million shields, to protect my... my home system. Yeah, so we're gonna have to drop some rail guns on here. We're gonna use these ones. These are 36,000, which is way overkill for this sector. I don't need anything remotely this big, but like I said, I do prefer rail guns. That's a nice one at 23.51, so that's gonna put me at about 18,000 roughly for damage per second. So we're gonna use, there's 3 of them. Actually, there's 7 of them. But those are 6 slots, and we just need to put some Avorion down for them. And we're going to put them on the top and the bottom here. So it's nice flat. You can, of course, make these, make it flatter if you want. And I want this one right here because it sticks out. There we go. Oops, double click that. And once we get this built, like I said, now we have a nice little defense platform that's going to protect the warp point. So when enemies come in, whether they are, pirates or whatever, right? So let's drop some of these on there. There's one. Ooh, they're big ones. I might have to make that bigger. There's one. And looks like I'm going to have to make this one a little bit bigger. I use turret bases just because in case I later on decide to make a make it actually look like a turret. We'll put that up because I want as big a field of fire as I can get. Right, it's top, bottom. I want them as high as I can. Sometimes I'll even add a little bit of a structure here to put them up higher so they have a better range. Right. So, all right, so there we go. So we got 2 railguns. This puts us at about 20,000. Most ships you're going to run into at the Trinium level aren't going to have anywhere close to the amount of shields and whatnot to deal with these. And they're rather long range, 23 kilometers. So most things you're going to run into are not going to deal with it. The other thing I like to use on here are, of course, are the the launchers, right? And you want to use in the launchers, you want to use the ones with the seeker missiles. What the seeker missiles do is they actually just track the target. They don't, these ones you spam them out. If the ship turns, right there's one with a seeker missile, but it's a coaxial. So what that seeker missile does is it doesn't miss, right? So I can mount these seeker missiles on our seeker launch, the launchers on here with seeker missiles, and the missiles don't miss, right? They track and blow up the target. If you put on just a regular one like this one, these launchers will launch missiles, but if the target moves anyway left or right, they won't hit. So that's why I tend to use the seekers. And of course, when you get some turret factories up, you can actually build them that way. So we've set up a nice little thing here. I might come back and cover these a little bit later, but right now this is going to be a quick. So I've got my defense platform in the area here where I want it, right? So he is covering that warp point. And I brought my ship here, the Olympic. This is the one I use for doing this kind of stuff here. So we're going to interact with him. Now this ship carries not only crew, let's put, that only needs about 100 I think, and then that'll eventually, so we'll throw one of those. Gotta crew this bugger, and of course I want to put a captain on there, because without the captain you can't do that. Won't be able to fight back. It requires the, so it's already got, so I'm already getting some baddies here. Alright, where'd you at? There we are. So they've already warped in. I didn't even see them. This is why you gotta have you want to have a warship on hand. So when these guys jump in, you have something to fight. And those are these rail guns are the exact same ones I just put on the station. So usually 2 hits and they blow right out. So now that he's not doing so hot, alright, jump back in. So we shouldn't have any problem here for a little bit. Those are super annoying, them pirates, aren't they? So let's run up here, see what kind of damage he did. Alright, so there's Battle Station Kappa. We're going to run in here. And you want to make sure when you build, of course you're going to have this battle station, but don't just leave the system just to the station. Make sure you have one warship. Like I said, I leave this guy here, the Sigma, all the time. Just in case I get overwhelmed, the station can't handle the sheer amount, at least I have something that I can jump in and fight with it too. And of course you can turn that thing on to defend or attack enemies too. However, the problem with that thing is it doesn't, it might get stuck in the asteroid field. So let's get up next to here, and we're going to transfer crew and cargo. So now I brought a bunch of fighters with me because I knew I was going to build one of these. These fighters, these ones are just ones I bought at equipment depots. Relatively cheap. They don't do a whole lot of damage. These are nothing special at all. These fighters here are ones I use in the interior. So you're talking 1,805 damage per second compared to 177. And this has got a 29 kilometer range, and these got 4.6, 11 kilometers. These are just cheap fighters I bought because they don't require a whole lot out here in this sector. However, I did bring 2 big ones with me. These guys right here are probably going to destroy most everything by themselves. However, it's nice to have these around here. So we're going to transfer all the fighters over to the station now, and we're going to make sure we got enough pilots. So that's 120 pilots needs to go to. Alright, so we got 120 pilots here. Now we're going to jump over to that station. Oops. And see what else do we need. So my ship is damaged. Of course it is. 'Cause why not? Why would you give me a chance? So it did blow off my top sector here. My seems to be my shields weren't completely up yet. So let's put our turret base back on there, and it looks like I got my gun back. So put him on the top here. Oops, gotta edit. Repair. Yep, there we go. Alright, so where is my railgun that I want? Alright, so there's my... Okay, he wasn't fighting back, obviously, because this thing wasn't crewed yet. So now that it's crewed and it has fighters and everything else, next time that happens, it should take care of itself. So, let's transfer crew and whatnot again. I need some mechanics. So, let's put another 100 untrained crewmen here. That should clean up a bunch of it. Yep, it did. So, they have, obviously, since this is a ship, it tells you this, 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 and this. Doesn't work. So, let's jump over to him. And we're going to put him on orders attack enemy. So, since he's... Yep, see the fighters are already boiling out. Alright, so let's jump over here to my my actual... Yep, here they come. See, there's my fighters boiling out. They're going to take care of pretty much everything. I don't even have to worry about it. And this is going to be super nice when I'm in system building on things, that I don't have to worry about this anything. So you can see, of course, my railguns are firing as well. And my fighters are just starting to get to these guys. Yep, there they go. So, fighters, there we go. Defense platform in place. And of course my my one warship, right? So now your system should be perfectly fine, should be perfectly protected with these two. Like I said, you want to make sure you always have a warship though, plus your defense. Like I said, I just use a defense asteroid. With that there, they're going to concentrate on that. They're not going to go further into system usually. Sometimes you get a stray one that might run off, and that's what this ship's going to be for here. So we're going to jump over to him, and we're going to put the Seda on attack enemy. He's got two nice railguns, plus, like I said, you can see where they spawn that far away. They weren't that, I mean, they were within 20 kilometers, but they're generally going to spawn in this area every time, right next to the asteroid field. So, I got the defense of the sector up and running. I'm not going to have to worry about it here. Now I can actually go in system and do this quietly. I don't have to run out here constantly to get into a fight here. So, there we go. There he is. There, and I've already said I already pre-positioned this guy out here. There is my that is my SE Trinium home. That is going to be my shipyard. Now I placed that quite a bit a ways out here, at least 30 kilometers from the initial spawn. This is your most important station when you first start out. You do not want this blown up or lost. Hence why it is a ways out, away from, I might even go further out. What are we at? There's 20. Yeah, so it's about 30 kilometers out. Sometimes you might want to go 40. You want to make sure your shipyard is not going to be screwed up, destroyed in any fashion. So we're going to jump into our little... This was a doozy getting this thing here. So let's screw it out a little bit more, and that'll put us at about 36 to 40 kilometers, somewhere in there. So now this whole area in here has a bunch of mineable asteroids, and of course it has one asteroid that you can turn into a mine. And if you put some, say if you put the on this ship, you decide to put some salvage fighters on it, they're going to clean this system up every time something attacks. So we're ready to go. Let's found our first station. So we're looking for a shipyard, 36 million. So remember, these aren't cheap. However, if you're going to start this home system, you need a shipyard, right? Because you need the shipyard to build every other station. So let's transform him into a... there we go. Nice. There's my first shipyard. Not really that great looking, but that's what we're going to do here. Now, that's the shipyard. Basic shipyard, 23,000 hull, super small, yeah, and not much for generated power and all that kind of stuff. I usually do this because it's a lot quicker than actually building a large one off the bat, but we'll do this a little bit here. So I like the look of this ribs. We're gonna do like we did in the last video here. We're gonna cut, copy, and paste it. You know, we'll just... Yeah, I don't know, we won't do the whole sector. Oops. There we go. Yep, so we're going to control copy, and we're going to turn this into a asteroid shipyard. Once again, you can't beat the sheer amount of HP that you're going to get compared to using it other ways here. So we're going to use this design, and we're going to control V that. We're going to add our, yep, there we go. We're going to add that in there just for some looks. If I can even, sometimes this doesn't work the best. Depends on how, where is it going to sit? Might be a little too big. Oops. Well, maybe I'll not be able to do this one. Whoops, 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 whoops. Whatever. Sometimes they don't fit right. Sometimes I might have to change the blocks. However, that's not going to work. Oh well. So we'll use a different one that actually has the blocks on it. There's one with 209,000 trinium. These are bigger ones. Let's see here if I can make any of it work. Wow, this is starting out to be like a, you know, one of those great, there we go. We'll use this design. Yeah, there we go. So, we'll do it with a 4-way, yeah, I made this one a while ago. So this one's already at 3 million for the hull, which is awful nice. And we just need to add some crew quarters. I have some pre-made ones, but I wanted to show you how to do this. Alright, so we'll stick him right there. 551, we'll put another one right there. And we need some generated energy. Ogonite generator. Let's see here, we'll just stick him right there. And we got plenty of energy. So we're good to go. Yep, first shipyard. You can customize this however you want. You can put shields on it, whatever. All that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is set up. This is my home shipyard, and you want to, of course, protect this. I would put shields on it too, but like I said, I'm not going to get that far into it. So once initial home shipyard set up, we got to crew the bugger. Oops, there we go. Nope, I don't want to do that. I want to jump into you and transfer. Alright, so I think 100 right off the bat, untrained, and that should flip everything to where I like this new feature where it flips it already for you. And of course, we also want to put, might not have to, if I don't remember right. I usually put a captain on everything just in case. So, she is ready to go. Now you can start building ships, or building factories and stations and all kind of stuff, right? She's out here a little ways, don't have to worry about it so much. Once I get this guy out here, then of course I'm going to pull my warship back. He was just over there being himself. So the orders, escort him. We're going to bring him out here because I'm going to stick him by the most important. If I lose that station there, I'm not a big deal. I don't want to lose my home shipyard. Now, once you got the home shipyard, we're going to interact with it. We're going to build. Typically, the first station I build is something that's going to cover the cost of my crews in this area, and that's usually. So we're going to build a ship here. We'll of course scale it to whatever you can scale it. However, make sure you push station founder and all that kind of stuff, name and all that kind of stuff, materials that you're going to use, and then push build. You're going to pay for it, right? However, I already have one set up here. The very first thing I usually build is a solar power plant. And since I already have him sitting here waiting, we'll switch to sector here. We'll bring him up right away. And we're going to jump him back. I said I already have these guys. That's my Mad Buster here. We'll go through him here one of these days and explain what he does. So this is going to be my first ship. Just what it does is it covers the cost of my crews, equipment docks, and so I can buy equipment. And of course this guy right here. So I jumped in right next to my battle station, and we're going to get this guy out of here as quick as I can before some baddies show up. So it's 40 kilometers. It's a little trek, but at the same time, it's far enough out there I don't have to worry about it getting blown up. And even if they do blow up the battle station, by the time they get out there, it's not going to matter. So like I said, these are my first. You get your something to defend the system, and then of course getting up your shipyard. Those are the first things you guys. What I do to get, a home sector built, a place where I'm going to be able to build, design, all that kind of stuff here. So we're going to put him out here. Now I've switched almost all to asteroid stations too right now. That's typically what I use. And I usually keep about 10 kilometers between each station. So once I get him out here. Because once I start building these things out of asteroids, I don't really put shields on them. Especially if I have the station is pretty well defended, or the system is well defended. I don't put shields on them. I just rely on the fact that they have a huge amount of HP, which you get for. So let's put him out there. We're at 3 kilometers. Yeah, let's run him out a little further. Like I said, solar power plant. And then I might put the mine up once I decide what I'm going to do with this sector here. But this is, like I said, just a little bit of an idea of how typically I start setting up a home sector. All right, so we're at 9 kilometers. 10 kilometers. And we're going to put him relatively straight line with him. I know, you don't have to be overly picky when it comes to this stuff, but yeah, it looks pretty, right? When you pop into and everything's nice and straight. Maybe not. I'll get it relatively close. That's about all you can do with this game. These things seem to have a tendency to move around for some reason. Alright, so we're at about our 10 kilometers. In fact, we're going to go back just a little bit. Well, we overshot it, Kurt. Oh, Captain. What am I doing? I don't know myself. So we'll put this guy at about 10 kilometers. There we go. And we're going to found our first station here, and it's going to be the solar power plant. Okay, he's up and running. And we're going to change him right off the bat to one of my other designed, well, not really designed. I cut, copy, and paste the solar panels off. And looks like I need a little bit more crew. But this is going to be my solar plant. Crew quarters. We'll put this guy right there. Alright, so everything's kosher. It's already crewed. I had enough crew in that one, not to worry about it. And of course we're going to set up the actual trade here. So I want to usually set it to about 0 or a little bit less, so I get people, and we're actively going to request it. We're going to upgrade it too right away. So this is for the NPCs to come in. I usually put a little bit less. Hopefully that attracts buyers, right? And we're not going to buy, so we're just going to sell. And we're going to actively sell. So this is going to draw the NPCs in, right? With a 5% price margin, difference. So they're going to see this is cheaper. Hopefully that's going to draw those guys in here. So there you go. first sector set up. I got my home shipyard and I got my solar power plant. Like I said, it just helps cover the cost of this here. So, one more time, we got more strange ship signals. They are getting stronger. Let's see here what happens when they pop into system. But you know, I'm going to do another part of this video too about managing, building stations, all that kind of stuff here. But like I said, home system, this is a good start. At least it was for me. I don't have to, now I can jump in here. I don't have to worry about fighting off a bunch of guys, pirates, and all that kind of stuff here. I can sit out here, design, build, and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully these guys come in here relatively quick. I think that's producing, I hope. Oops. We need to jump in there and make sure it's... Okay, so the small group of alien warships. So there they are. They just pulled in the system. And let's see what they do against that. Yep, there he goes. He's already starting to fire. Railguns, like I said, with the range and their destructibility, they just seem to work, right? Yeah, there's the fighters already went out, so he's dead, and I don't even have to deal with it. Oh wait, you know what? No cargo hold. Gotta have that for a station to work. Minimum here. What do I have? More of Zanian. We'll just use Zanian for the cargo holds. You gotta have a minimum. Well, you don't have to, but typically you can do up about 25,000. You want for your cargo hold to make this work. Let's see here. Oops, 111. Ew, don't need that much. $22,000. There we go. 32,000. More than I needed, but that should start. You have to have that cargo hold on here for this station to start working here. So now it started working. You can see the bars down here working here. So that should produce. I should start collecting solar power plant or the solar thingies. Yep, 40 energy cells, gain 80, 120, and I have this of course set to sell. So NPCs should start showing up relatively quick. So with that said, guys, thanks for watching here. Set up a home, right? You want to go home. So with that said, guys, thanks for watching, and have a good night.